on the stage in Anchorage, Alaska, where President Donald Trump and President Putin addressed the press, but didn't take a single question. President Putin spoke first, and he talked about getting back to a more pragmatic, business-like relationship with Washington, said Ukraine was just one of the issues that was discussed, but gave unspecified details of what he called agreements that were reached. President Trump, though, was crystal clear. There's no deal until there's a deal. And he said he's going to be getting on the phone with his European and NATO counterparts, as well as, most importantly, President Volodymyr Zelensky. At the end of his remarks, President Putin turned to President Trump in English and said,
next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening.
President Putin had literally the red carpet rolled out for him today, and it remains to be seen what President Trump has gotten out of it. Here on the stage in Anchorage.
Good morning, Owasso. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Well, that's been the big news for the last couple of days and over the weekend is Trump and Putin meeting in Anchorage, Alaska, and now he's meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky to try to negotiate peace talks again. So, with as many peace talks as Trump's been getting into and trying to stop all these wars, it is absolutely crazy right now. So we're going to get into that. I've got articles and I've got memes, so let's get into the show then. All right, we'll start off with the Putin summit. Let me transition screens here real quick. There we go. All right, August 15th, 2025, Trump-Putin summit ends without a concrete deal. And that's the other thing, too, is just like as if that's how negotiations work. Just like the media holds Trump to such a high standard. Like if they don't come back, if Trump doesn't just stop the war, that very first meeting, like he's failed as a leader. Like no other president gets this type of scrutiny. But that's where we're at right now. So let's get started. What we covered here, no deal until there's a deal. U.S. President Donald Trump said that he and Russian President Vladimir Putin made great progress, but did not emerge today's summit with a deal on the war in Ukraine. Onus on Ukraine. It's a Fox News interview tonight. Trump puts the onus on Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky to negotiate a ceasefire, saying that there would soon be meeting between Zelensky and Putin. They both want me there, Trump said. Key details unclear. Both leaders have left Alaska after spending 6 hours on the ground. Putin also characterized the talks positively, but neither leader took questions after reading statements to reporters. Here are our takeaways from the summit. Eastern European officials react to skepticism with Putin's comments. Senior government officials in Eastern Europe have reacted with skepticism to the comments made by Russian President Vladimir Putin following the Alaska summit. While saying he was interested in ending the conflict, Putin said that the primary cause needed to be eliminated for that to happen, adding that the situation in Ukraine had to do with fundamental threats to Russian security. In a post on X on Saturday morning, local time, Lithuanian Defense Minister Dovil, good Lord, I hate Russian names, Salaskalin, accused Putin of more gaslighting and veiled threats, a reference to the Russian leader issuing a warning to Ukraine and Europe not to sabotage progress made at the summit. Czech Foreign Minister Jan Lapinski said in a statement that he welcomed the U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts but doubted Putin's interest in a deal, according to Reuters. If Putin were serious about negotiating peace, he would have not been attacking Ukraine all day today, he said. Well, you also have to ask this is, who attacked who? If the Ukrainians were attacking the Russians and the Russians were defending, they didn't attack them. Now, I don't know exactly what he means by that, and something tells me that he probably doesn't either. Trump and Putin skipped the Q&A because exhaustive statements were made. The Kremlin spokesperson said the U.S. President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin skipped answering questions on Friday's joint news conference because their statements said it all, according to the Kremlin spokesperson. Exclusive statements were made. Dmitry Peskov said that when asked why two leaders were delivered remarks at the news conference, according to Russia RIA Novosti news agency. Good Lord. The conversation is really very positive, and the two presidents spoke about it. This is the very conversation that allows us to confidently continue moving forward together on the path of seeking resolution option, Peskov said to the RIA reported. Trump calls Hillary Clinton very nice over the Nobel Peace remarks. President Donald Trump said that he appreciated Hillary Clinton saying that she'd nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize if he brokered peace in Ukraine, even as he maintained that he was not campaigning for the award. I don't want to be involved in such stuff, he said, before adding that his former presidential rival remarks were very nice. If she said that, it's very nice. I really appreciate it too, actually. Clinton said earlier on Friday that she would personally nominate Trump for the prize if he were to architect the ending of the Russia war on Ukraine, but only if he could do so without Ukraine having to cede any territory to Russia, which we highly doubt that that's going to happen. Like, there has to be some sort of negotiating tool, because the thing is Russia could still just roll up on Ukraine and just take whatever they wanted. They have a big army. They have the military might to do so, and they haven't. So, questions. Maybe they said whether the fact that Putin sees it just because he sees them as Russian and he sees that as a Russian territory that he wants back, so he's trying not to completely destroy the population, or because, he's a bad military leader. But I highly doubt that that's the fact. Trump says Putin and Zelensky wanted him at the future joint meeting. I'll be there. Donald Trump said that both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wanted him to attend the future potential meeting between the two leaders to discuss a path to peace. They both want me there, Trump said in a Fox News interview with Sean Hannity. They both want me there, and I'll be there. Asked if he was confident in the peace could happen in a relatively short period of time. Fairly short, yeah. Trump was conceded to that he was wrong to think that Russia-Ukraine conflict would be the easiest of all the conflicts to solve, hearkening back to his campaign progress to end the war within 24 hours. I thought this would be the easiest of them all, and that it was the most difficult, Trump said. Trump backs off the threats to sever consequences for Russia for now. Donald Trump signaled that he'd hold off on imposing more sanctions over severe consequences against Russia after concluding that meeting with Vladimir Putin today had gone very well. Because of what happened today, I don't think I'll have to think about it now, Trump said, interviewing Fox News' Sean Hannity. I may have to think about it in 2 or 3 weeks or something, but we don't have to think about it right now. Trump at one point had threatened to impose harsh sanctions on Russia earlier this month to pressure Putin into halting his war against Ukraine. But Trump backed off on that deadline after Putin agreed to meeting face-to-face. Okay. Trump says he and Putin largely agree on land swaps. President Donald Trump said he agreed with his Russian counterpart in talks on Friday at the Ukraine war with land swaps with some type of security guarantee from the U.S., asking Fox News' Sean Hannity territorial concessions that would give Russia land it didn't have previously and potential U.S. assurances for Ukraine. Trump said that was the point in agreement with Vladimir Putin. Well, I think those points that we negotiated and that there are points that we largely agree on, he said. Actually, I think we agree on a lot. I can tell you the meeting was a warm meeting. He called Putin a strong guy, tough as hell, but said that the meeting was positive. I think we're pretty close to the end, and look, Ukraine has to agree to it, he said. Trump advice to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is he's got to make a deal. Assessed Russian-controlled territory and assessed Russian advance. So this is what's going on here. Russia and President Vladimir Putin determined full control under 4 Russian-occupied regions in Ukraine. Interesting. Notes. The assessed means that the Institute for Study of War has received reliable and independently verified information to demonstrate Russia's control or advance in those areas. Source is the Institute Study of War with AIE's critical AEI's, Critical Threat Project, graphics, Henrik Patterson, Renee Ridon, and okay, cool. Interesting. I think the meeting was a 10, Trump says, without how he would grade the summit with Putin. President Donald Trump said that he would grade the meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Zelensky a 10, despite earlier telling reportings that if a ceasefire weren't reached today, that he would not be happy. Instead of Trump, who had interviewed on Hannity and Fox News, said that he would give the meeting high remarks because they all got along well. So I think the meeting was a 10 in a sense that we got along great, and it was good when you know that two big powers get along, especially when they're nuclear powers. You know we're number one, they're number two in the world, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal, Trump said. Trump is now setting up to Zelensky striking up a deal with Zelensky. Yeah. Okay, President Donald Trump is putting the onus on Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to negotiate a ceasefire this evening, and it would be setting up a meeting with Zelensky and Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Okay, so we're kind of going to stop right there for now because we're actually getting into the meeting with Vladimir Zelensky now, which is the next article I have here. Trump and Zelensky meeting paves the way for Ukrainian security guarantees, the trilateral talks with Putin. This was the CNBC's live coverage of the president meeting with Donald Trump, European leaders, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, in the White House. President Donald Trump met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the European leaders at the White House. Trump said that the negotiations can take place and obtain peace in years in a long war promoted in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, while both countries are still fighting, dropping this earlier calls for ceasefire. The U.S. president said in a meeting between the Russian President Vladimir Putin and Zelensky was being planned to be followed by a trilateral meeting which would include Trump. Zelensky said that the package of security guarantees for Ukraine, expected to include a massive purchase of American weapons, would be formalized on paper within the week to 10 days. So, Ukraine to buy $90 billion in U.S. weapons as part of the security guarantees. Kiev has offered to purchase $90 billion in U.S. weapons. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that at a press briefing outside the White House on Monday. The purchase offer has yet to be formalized, was part of a security guarantees that were discussed, Zelensky said, according to Reuters. The Ukrainian president added the details of the security guarantees will be worked out within 10 days. Security guarantees will probably be unpacked by our partners, and more details will emerge. All of this will somehow be formalized on paper within the next week to 10 days, Zelensky was reported saying. Putin's negotiation hails talks in Washington as an important day of diplomacy. Kirill Dmitriev, one of Putin's top negotiators, hailed Monday's talks in Washington as an important day for diplomacy. The important day of diplomacy today will focus on lasting peace, not temporary ceasefire, Dmitry said on an X post. Dmitriev, who also was the head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund, was emphasizing Moscow's opposition to any short-term ceasefire deal with the Ukraine. Trump called Putin after the Oval Office talks with the European leaders. So that's a power play right there. He called Putin while they were all still in there. Trump called Putin after discussing security guarantees for Ukraine during the multi-phase talks with the European leaders at the White House. I called President Putin and began arranging for a meeting at the location to be determined between the President Putin and President Zelensky, Trump wrote on Truth Social. After the meeting place takes place, we will have a trilat with which would be two presidents plus myself, Trump said, calling it a positive early step for the war, and been going for almost 4 years. The war's been going on for almost 4 years. Trump said that he would place the call after the discussions with the White House with the Europeans, which ended in further meeting in the Oval Office. During the meeting, we discussed security guarantees for Ukraine, which guarantees that would be provided by various European countries, which coordinated with the United States of America, Trump wrote. The Kremlin aide Yuri Ashakov confirmed that the call, telling that the NBC News that it was initiated by Trump and it lasted about 40 minutes. Trump and Putin expressed support for direct talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the Kremlin aide said. Trump and the leaders discussed which security guarantees would be provided by various European countries. Trump said that the leaders discussed more specifics on security guarantees for Ukraine during the multilateral, according to the lengthy Truth Social post. During the meeting, we discussed security guarantees for Ukraine, which guaranteed would be provided by various European countries with a coordinated by the United States of America, he writes. Everyone is happy about the possibility of peace for Russia and Ukraine, he continues. Detail on security guarantees have been questioning heading to Trump's meeting with Zelensky and European leaders after the U.S. president and Putin agreed to allowing such guarantees during the Friday summit. Trump's meeting has ended. The multilateral meeting with Trump and the European leaders is over, and the White House confirms it to MSNBC. Trump whispers to Macron he believes Putin wants to make a deal for me. The moment for this multilateral meeting with the European leaders began. I think he wants to make a deal. I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that. As crazy as it sounds, Trump quietly told the French president in comments that they were captured on hot mic. The subsequent remarks to the president, Trump expresses optimism about the prospect of Zelensky and Putin meeting at a later date. And if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting, Trump said. All right. Let's see European rules move. Oh, gosh, good Lord. There's just so much to this stuff. So long. But you get it. Like, Trump is trying to move forward with these peace talks. And that's the big takeaway. It's like, this is a peace negotiation. Like, everybody's not going to get exactly what they want out of a deal like this. So, that's where we're at. And Trump just did a whole big show of power when Putin showed up, and that was one of the cool things I'm about to pull up right now is when he lands, he has the B-2 stealth bombers and a bunch of our fighter jets just fly over, and it was just a really cool thing. So let's check that out. Music kind of leads it like they're kind of playing it off like this was like a great evil that happened. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but that was just kind of interesting choice of music right there, I think. But that's really about all I have on that. But I've got a bunch of other memes and other videos pulled up down here. Let me pull these up real quick. Yeah, same thing. Trump meeting with the music. It doesn't seem nearly as ominous. I'm not sure about that. Yep. And then the media just like, I can't believe they rolled out the red carpet for Putin. It's like you're trying to butter somebody up before you go into their rating. You got to be put on your best, foot forward. It's ridiculous that the media comments about everything. Now, here's what some Ukrainians are thinking about this. I'll try to read it, but they talk really fast. I'm going to try to read some of it to you, but if you're watching, you can read the comments yourself, but I'll try to read for some of you guys that are just listening out there. So these are people interviewing Ukrainians about what they thought of Trump meeting with Putin.
Ця зустріч принесла результати тільки Путіну. Він себе показав як рукопожатний, і тепер всі країни будуть до нього зовсім по-іншому відноситись. Що виграв від цього Трамп? Трамп абсолютно нічого, він навпаки себе понизив свій статус перед Путіним.
Прикро і огидно, звісно, що Путін ішов по червоному килимі і посміхався, і щасливий, що його повернули до демократичного світу. Українцям, мабуть, це було дуже важко всім дивитися, мені, зокрема, теж.
Я відчуваю сильну підтримку Європи. І те, що я побачив в Анкориджі, все ж таки населення Сполучених Штатів підтримує Україну. Для нас це велика честь, велика подяка американцям за підтримку.
Ця зустріч принесла результати тільки Путіну, він себе показав.
So not all Ukrainians, like I said, they get two people on there that are negative about the meeting and then one person who's positive. So that's good news. And the person that was positive about it was a Ukrainian soldier, at least so we assume. It can just be somebody dressed up as a Ukrainian soldier for the interview. But I don't see how it lowers our status. The U.S. is trying to stop a war. The U.S. president is trying to stop a war. I don't see how that lowers our standing or anything. These people are very, very biased folks here. And for, like, all the liberals out there are supposed to be all peace and love and hippy-dippy stuff. Is like, anybody that's trying to negotiate peace is a good thing. Why on earth would that be a bad thing? Doesn't make any sense for the people that are supposedly the party of peace and, anti-war. But again, as we've talked about before, the Democrats have been pro-war for every war except for Vietnam. Vietnam was the only war that the liberals protested. And the only reason that I really believe that is because it was communist. Because liberals have always been more on the side of communism and the socialist types. I mean, you remember, JFK's dad was pro-fascism. Even JFK wrote papers talking about how fascism was a good thing, how socialism was a good thing, that was the future for every country. And people just hand wave that stuff off because they don't like to talk about it. Oh, then we have this one here. Gotta shrink this down just a hair. There we go. Yeah. Democrats burning the bridge between Russia and the United States, and then Trump's building it back, and he's like, what happened to ending the war in 24 hours? Yeah, there's been a lot of damage done by the Biden administration between what Trump was trying to do back in his first term to now what's going on in his second term. So, again, Democrats were burned all the bridges and trying to delve us all into mayhem, the world into mayhem, just because they were handing the reins off to Donald Trump again. So, absolutely insane. All right, Bill Maher praises President Trump for wanting to reach peace deals between Ukraine and Russia. Maher, if you're the kind of person who says you can find the good in anybody, this would be a good in Donald Trump. So let's check this out real quick. Let me turn on the volume. Oh, it is on. Perfect.
56 years ago, and the hippies, what did they hate more than anything else? War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So if you're the kind of person who says, you can find some good in anybody, this would be the good in Donald Trump. He really does not like war. Thailand and Cambodia were having firing at each other. Rwanda and the Congo. Most people don't even know about these. India and Pakistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He got involved in all of them. He doesn't really, he wants to. Now, the way he does it, as usual, not, with Ukraine, the solution was, surrender. Give Putin everything he wants. And even that didn't work. That's the thing. He gave Putin anything he wanted, and it didn't work. But again, let's not have the zombie lie that he's still backing Putin, because, first of all, he bombed Iran. That was a Putin ally. He didn't get out of NATO.
No.
He mended fences with NATO. So, and he put sanctions back on Russia. So,
You're really coming around, Bill.
I'm not coming around. There's no coming around. There's just to what's true. This is true shit. Right. I don't come around. I'm not on anybody's team. I'm on the team. I'm on what's right, what's true, what happened. This is what happened. He just doesn't like war. It's funny, I see that today is the anniversary of Woodstock. This is 56 years ago. And the hippies, what did they hate more than anything else? War. What is it good for?
Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong. He's negotiated several peace deals. So this is the one that's taken the longest because there's a long-time feud between these two countries. Who would have guessed that, this would have been, he didn't think this was going to be his hardest one, as we saw in that article. He's like, I thought that I would have got this one done in 24 hours. But no. These people, even though they share like a common like history and ancestry, like they still hate each other the most. So we'll see. And just remember, here's this one right here, which is absolutely true. It's like Trump meeting with Vladimir Putin makes him a traitor. You forget that all your past presidents all met with these people. Look, there he is with meeting Hillary Clinton. There he is meeting President Barack Obama. There he is meeting President Bill Clinton. There he is with Chuck Schumer. But Trump meets with him, traitor, treasonous. Why would he meet with this dictator? He must just be a puppet for him. That's what the left thinks. That's what the left has always been doing to this guy. But when their people meet with him, they're not traitors. They're just negotiating and doing things that politicians should do. Not when Donald Trump does it. Absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. All right. And then talking about dealing with foreign nations that are always trying to like screw you over. This is how negotiation tactics work. This guy right here on the Sean Ryan podcast talks about how you got to try to avoid getting screwed over by China. So check this out. Uh-oh. Got to reset it. And then I didn't turn the sound on. There we go. Now we're good.
If I'm not getting screwed over in China, something is wrong. I stayed at this hotel called the Galactic Peace Hotel, which I thought was funny. And it says, welcome, famous American investor Eric Bethel, in lights, right? We're at our signing ceremony, and you walk into a hallway, and you have guys with TV cameras looking at you. You've got two chairs. It's very imposing, one with an American flag, one with a Chinese flag. We're going to sign the deal. And I look at the numbers. I look at the guy that I'm supposed to be doing the deal with. We were supposed to be paying X, and he had made it X plus 40%. And I said, bro, what's up with this? And he's like, well, we had to change things at the last minute. You're okay with it, right? And I said, no, but everyone's here. What are we going to do? You have to sign. He's like, And I walked out. Everyone's looking at me. It's very awkward. I'm about to get in my car, and the guy's like, okay. We'll go back to your original number. Wow. Welcome to China. If I'm not getting screwed over.
Yes. Imagine that. That is how China and a bunch of other countries probably do big deals. Like they had press conference set up, everything ready to be signed in this huge public spectacle. And what does he do? He goes, you've changed the numbers on my paperwork here. It's like, oh, well, everybody's here. We need to go ahead and sign this and get this over with. How many people would have probably just signed it and gone through with it? You have to have the ability to say no and walk away. Otherwise, you're just going to get taken advantage of by these people that are trying to screw you over. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And that's basically what's going on with these peace talks is like each side wants something from the other. It's going to be something big that the other side doesn't want to surrender. This is how negotiations work. You're going to have to make concessions. You're going to have to surrender things and make deals that you probably aren't going to want to make that's going to screw somebody over. So that's where we're at in talking negotiation tactics here. So it's not going to be perfect. I highly doubt that he's going to not be able to have Ukraine secede some territory or whatever, but we'll see what happens. I'll be excited to see what happens. And then here's just a little comical thing that I found the other day, and it made me laugh really hard. So check this out. Let me see here. Some sound.
Clear left. Kennel loaded. Earlier this morning, ICE agents raided several homes in this neighborhood, detaining at least a dozen chihuahuas. Community reaction has been mixed. I'm not saying they're all bad or that they deserve cages,
But ever since the raid, the barking stopped. The neighborhood's been a lot quieter. Clear left.
Oh my God. These AI videos are getting out of control. Out of control. Oh my gosh. Oh, my lab talking about a bunch of chihuahuas. I love it. That is funny stuff. That is funny stuff. These memes are getting out of control, y'all. These AI generated things are getting out of control. But that's pretty much all I've got for today. This was Chad with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. But I'm going to play us out with some videos here of Scott Jennings on CNN's panel, and how I think he has the most fun job in the world right now, just wrecking CNN panelists right now. So I don't know if he really likes it that much, but I think he is doing great on there. So I'm going to end this out with that, but that's pretty much all I've got for today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop, and I will catch you all in the next one. I'll see you later, everybody.
This is not the Republican Party that I grew up in, and I don't think it's ever coming back. I think it's gone. I think it's gone for good. They're in the ditch, and they just don't know it yet.
How are we in the ditch? We won the national popular vote last November. We won a crushing victory in the Electoral College. We won majorities in the House and the Senate. We just passed the big, beautiful bill. Peace is breaking out in the Middle East. Peace is breaking out on the African continent. Gas prices are lower than they've been in 4 years. Taxes are going to be low. Egg prices are down 69%. The southern border is secure. Jeff, these are things Republicans have believed in for a very long time.
But Scott, I mean, proof that that's not the case.
His attitude and his ability to get things done, his spirit, the way he fights the left, the way he fights for free speech and Western civilization, and the way he's open to coalition building and building non-traditional alliances is a key political talent.
I remember sitting at a meeting leading up to this election. I've got Bill Kristol sitting here. I've got, former friends, conservatives from across the aisle. We were all aligned in how do we defeat Trump. It was a meeting.
How'd it work out?
You know what, Scott?
Just
all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
This is not the Republican Party.